5 count or no?
That's your count. You're on.
I love that. Welcome to Islands in the League. This is a special live episode that we will be doing periodically throughout the conference finals and the finals. No Tommy, just me. This is going to be a short live reaction to whatever game. And boy, were we treated to a fantastic game one of the Western Conference Finals. First of all, stars showed out. Anthony Davis played great. LeBron James played great. Jamal Murray played great. Jokic played great. A lot of good basketball stuff. And Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy talked about this towards the end of the broadcast. There's a lot that the Lakers found in that second half from a strategy standpoint, from a rotation standpoint, and we'll get into all that. What I want to start with is sort of the end of the game, right? Denver up 6. Reeves hits a 3 to cut it to 3, 124-121. Jamal Murray in a show, not a great show, poked at the ball, late to recover to Austin Reeves. LeBron finds him, hits a 3. Murray finds Gordon off a loose ball. They go up 6. Reeves hits another 3 off the same exact action from pretty much the same spot. And this was a theme throughout the night. When Denver decided to switch Jamal Murray onto LeBron James, the Lakers pretty much got whatever he want. 3 for 3 in that first quarter. LeBron was on Jamal Murray switches. He was able to facilitate, pass, make reads when they did switch. And then towards the end of the game, when they went to that show with Jamal Murray on Austin Reeves, Reeves knocked down 2 threes. KCP had the big layup to put him up 5. And then, of course, LeBron missed the 3, potential game time 3 with around 45 seconds to go. And Denver ultimately prevailed. A couple big things that I think happened in that second half. Number one, putting Hachimura in that fourth quarter onto Nikola Jokic, which allowed Anthony Davis to essentially be a roamer. And it's interesting because we saw this adjustment from Darvin Ham in terms of the matchup with Anthony Davis in that Golden State series. When Steph was having success in Game 5 against Anthony Davis in the pick and roll, when he was guarding Gary Payton, they put him on Wiggins. Golden State went away from that. At times in Game 6, depending on who was on the court, Davis would be in the pick and roll, then he would not be in the pick and roll. And I think what's clear is Nikola Jokic, no offense to Anthony Davis, no offense to DeAndre Ayton, no offense to Rudy Gobert, no offense to really anyone in the league, but he's unstoppable. And so by putting Anthony Davis off the ball and by putting him on Aaron Gordon, he's able to roam and be a help defender and contest late. We saw that a couple times where he's just getting into the mud with Jokic as he gets deeper against Hachimura. So that's going to be something interesting. What does Michael Malone do with Aaron Gordon? I know tonight he put him in the dunker spot. Can I just say one thing real quick? I was texting our boy Ryan Cohen. Big fan of the show. We talk about Ryan all the time. And I hate the dunker spot. I absolutely hate the dunker spot. And no, I don't mean the podcast. I mean the physical location on a basketball floor. I think it's useless. I really mean that. Get that guy out of there. And I'll tell you what, you have options. You have options. If you're going to essentially ignore a non-shooter, don't put him in the dunker spot. Put him spaced out at the three-point line. He can screen off the ball. He's a free screener. Screen off the ball. You can throw it to him. He can go dribble handoff action. And that to me, or just play him as the pick and roll guy and space Jokic. That to me is something that I think Michael Malone will have to adjust. If they're going to put Anthony Davis on Aaron Gordon, and I would expect, I would expect this. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I would expect Hachimura to start for D'Angelo Russell. I think Schroeder starts with Austin Reeves. They go bigger. They put Hachimura and LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the front court. Gives them a little more versatility. It's going to be asking a little bit more of LeBron James against that starting unit to have to guard probably Michael Porter Jr. off the ball. That's a little bit more. But if you're going to put Anthony Davis on Aaron Gordon, have him be the screener and pick and roll with Jamal Murray. If Jokic is going to post, have him spaced out. Throw the ball to him. Have him go DHO with Michael Porter Jr. Have him go DHO with KCP. Have him go DHO with Jamal Murray. You have options here. The bad option is the dunker spot. I hate the dunker spot. I go back to Philly. We played the Raptors, and we at different points in that time in that series, it's like, all right, our best offense, because Tobias didn't shoot the ball well. They're blitzing me every time I run a dribble handoff with Joel, or every time I come off a pin down with Joel. They put Ben in the dunker spot, and they ran DHO with Jimmy and Joel. That's an extra defender to defend the screening action. In a Jokic post up, that's an extra defender to defend that. That's an extra defender when they run the two-man game with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. So that, to me, you got to figure out where you're putting Aaron Gordon, how you can take advantage of Anthony Davis being in the help position. Because I do think that's going to be a big-time part of Game 2. The Lakers found something there. Right? They found something. Now Denver's going to have to make the adjustment. I think Denver's going to have to make the adjustment with Jamal Murray. Are you switching and then doubling and having him rotate out? Are you sort of relying on him to show a little bit better if he is on Austin Reeves? I thought he lingered a little bit too long. And I've been that guy in the playoffs where my man, I'm guarding a shooter. He's coming up, setting a screen on the primary scorer. I'm in a show position. Sometimes you do a good job, you recover, and it's good. Sometimes you linger a little too long, and Joe Harris hits a three. Danny Green hits a three. So I get it. They got to do a little bit better job with that. I thought overall, though, with Denver, I was really impressed with their offense in the first half. Defensive stops, forcing some turnovers. And to be honest with you, at times, some uncanny turnovers, some bad decisions. There was a LeBron outlet pass that he just threw up to half court. KCP had an unbelievable steal that led to a basket where he intercepted going out of bounds, threw it back in. But the pace they created throughout that first half, and it was Jokic grabbing rebounds and busting out and then making plays off of that, guys driving closeouts, guys, cutting to the basket, scoring. So I think the offensive pace, the body and ball movement in the half court, even from the Nuggets, and there was really no physicality from the Lakers in that first half. Jamal Murray on dribble handoffs, pick and rolls, whatever he wanted. There's a play which I'll highlight tomorrow on ESPN on Get Up where they run essentially flex action, and they pin down for Nikola Jokic, and he literally strolls up to the foul line, catches the ball. Anthony Davis tries to shoot the gap, takes his time, hits the jump. It was just too free flowing, and they stepped it up. They stepped it up in that second half. Couple things, I mentioned the stars, and thought Anthony Davis was great in that short roll. He got whatever he wanted. That's an area where I think he can really take advantage. We've seen Jokic, particularly against Minnesota and against Phoenix, way up in pick and roll coverage. He's not in a heavy drop. Only time we really saw him do that was early in that Phoenix series, guarding Chris Paul. Tonight he was in a drop, which allowed Anthony Davis to just kind of catch the ball in that 12 to 15 foot area, score the basketball. Thought he was phenomenal offensively. Thought LeBron was really good offensively, highly efficient from the floor, made plays, rebounded well. Austin Reeves, who I've talked about. Hachimura created mismatches early with his duck-ins, just shooting over people. He was fantastic. Those four guys for the Lakers were great, and I think they're going to play a huge part in this series. Let me say something real quick. Let me just say something. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world right now. If you don't believe that, I will respectfully disagree with you. There's no shade. There's no hate. You're allowed to disagree with that statement. He's the best player in the world right now. He's on a historic playoff run. there's not really an answer. Supposed to talk about this today on First Take, and unfortunately, Doc Rivers was fired. And so the breaking news, kind of took us off our script a little bit. But I was going to go through some of the top playoff performances so far in the playoffs. So think about this. Game 5 against Game 4 against the Phoenix Suns. They lose. Denver loses. Jokic has 53 and 11. And a lot of that was one-on-one. They make a little bit of an adjustment where they're just like, we're going to go back to having Jokic high, having him hit cutters, having him play DHO action. He goes for a 29-point triple-double in Game 5. He goes for a 32-point triple-double in Game 6 to close him out. And then tonight, he's got 34, 21, and 14 on 12 of 17 from the field. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And this is going against Anthony Davis, who is one of the best defenders in the NBA. And speaking of that, this is another reason I like the matchup where Hachimura is on Nikola Jokic. Go back and watch that first half. Any time that Denver, any of their players were able to drive by a Lakers defender, whether it was in pick and roll or out of a closeout or just one-on-one in transition, and Anthony Davis went to help and tried to block a shot, right? Who got the rebound? They missed. Jokic did. Jokic, the size in this series is going to matter. And this is why I think the adjustment for the Lakers of playing Hachimura with LeBron and with Anthony Davis is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. A few guys for Denver that I thought were fantastic tonight. Bruce Brown, especially early, just a spark plug again off the bench. I think he's going to be a huge X factor in this series. Jamal Murray, who I mentioned, again, another great playoff performance from him. Still think Lakers haven't quite figured out that two-man game with Murray and Jokic. That'll be something that we'll dive into more as we get further along in the series and we start seeing the adjustments they make. And then Michael Porter Jr., aggressive early. I think at times, whether they do go big or whether they stay small, he could potentially be a mismatch for the Nuggets. Rebounded it well, had a couple blocks from behind, improved defensively. KCP, I mentioned his layup earlier. There were times in that second half where Lakers cut it to 12. Lakers cut it to 11. KCP hits a big three. Lakers cut it to 8. KCP hits a big. Like he stepped up, and I know this series obviously means something to him because he won the 2020 championship with the Lakers. So again, all those guys, I think I've covered sort of all of my initial reactions from Game 1. The last thing I want to say is congratulations to the San Antonio Spurs for getting the number 1 pick in the draft lottery tonight. Excited for all those guys down in San Antonio. I know a number of the guys in the front office and on the coaching staff well. We'll get into this probably on Monday on the Old Man and the Three Things, but the Sohan, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, Wembanyama, and I think it's 12 picks between 2024 and 2028. There's a lot to look forward to if you're a Spurs fan. Shout out to Austin, Texas. Thank you guys as always. This has been Islands of the League live react to Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. We'll be doing these after a bunch of the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, and NBA Finals games. Please hit that subscribe button.
Attaboy.